right. So, let me give you an update to a story I brought you um last May, last year. No, it couldn't have been last year. May maybe. Anyway, so a jury awarded damages to that little girl who was burned by the chicken nugget. Which, after reading this story, I do not change my view as to how absolutely fucking stupid this is. But anyway, I mean, obviously it was a horrible accident. I feel for the little girl. But is this worthy of damages? I don't think so. Anyway, so to the article. A South Florida jury awarded, oh, I forgot it was Florida. This explains a lot. Awarded $800,000 in damages to a little girl who received second-degree burns when a hot chicken McNugget fell on her leg as her mother pulled away from the drive-thru of a McDonald's restaurant, which I don't think they made that clear that was in a drive-thru, which would explain why the chicken nugget could fall. Because, cars do the bumpy thing and swervy. So, yeah, you can drop shit. That's easy. That's easy for an adult. Forget a 4-year-old. Lawyers for the family of Olivia Caraballo, who was 4 when she was burned in 2019, were seeking $15 million in damages. Jurors reached their verdict after deliberating for less than 2 hours on Wednesday, the South Florida Sun-Sentinel reported. The jury's verdict form allotted $400,000 in damage for the past 4 years and another $400,000 for the future from the McDonald's USA and its franchise operator, Upchurch Foods. A separate jury decided in May that the company and franchise owner were liable for the injury, which is probably when I last reported on this, which occurred outside a McDonald's in Tamarack, near Fort Lauderdale. I'm actually just happy that they listened to Olivia's voice and the jury was able to decide a fair judgment, Olivia's mother, Philana Holmes, told reporters outside the courtroom. I'm happy with that. I honestly had no expectations, so this is more than fair for me. She testified on Tuesday that Olivia, now 8, calls the scar on her inner thigh nugget and is fixated on having it removed, the newspaper reported. Because, as we all know, we give pet names to things we don't like. Lawyers for McDonald's argued that the child's discomfort ended when the wound healed, which they said took about 3 weeks. They contended that the girl's mother is the one who has the problem with the scar and told jurors that the $156,000 should cover damages both past and future. She's still going to McDonald's. She's still asked to go to McDonald's. She's still driving through the drive-thru with her mom getting chicken nuggets, defense attorney Jennifer Miller said in her closing argument Wednesday. She's not bothered by the injury. This is all the mom. Which, to be honest, it does seem that way. It does seem that way, that the kid is perfectly fine with it. I mean, obviously, it was painful at the time and probably was a bit traumatic, but that was when she was 4. And the fact that she's calling her scar Nugget, yeah, that doesn't sound like the kid has that big of a problem with this whole thing. I mean, it's entirely possible that, that she probably at some point wanted the scar to go away. Whether she still does, whether it's just the mom who just wants her perfect baby and, God forbid the child has a scar. I don't know. Defense attorneys declined to speak after the verdict. Holmes testified that she had purchased Happy Meals for her son and daughter, who was sitting in the back seat and was driving away when the nugget fell on the child's leg. She said that the girl screamed in pain, and when she pulled over in a parking lot, she realized the nugget was lodged between Olivia's thigh and the seatbelt. Ouch. That's just. And I mean, when you're 4 and you're in pain, you probably don't have the wherewithal to try to even, I don't know, remove the seatbelt, try to remove the nugget from the seatbelt. You're just in pain. I mean, ugh. The mother testified that at no point did McDonald's warn her that the food might be unusually hot. I'm sorry. What do you consider unusually hot? I mean, I realize that, that things need to be hot and you don't expect to get burned when you touch. I don't know, does she touch a hot stove and think, why is this so hot? I mean, goddamn, of course it's going to be hot. Maybe she figured that it's not second degree burn worthy hot, in which case she doesn't understand how hot things need to be, I guess. I honestly don't know what she means by unusually hot. The company testified they follow food safety rules, which require McNuggets to be hot enough to avoid salmonella poisoning, and that what happens with the food once it leaves the drive-thru window is beyond their control. While both sides agreed during the trial in May that the nugget caused the burns, the family's lawyers argued that the temperature was about 200 degrees, while the defense said it was no more than 160 degrees. Okay, how did you come upon that number? I mean, McDonald's knows how hot they heat the food. So the fact that they know that's fine, but where did the lawyers come up with that number? Did they look up, how hot is too hot and went with that number? It's like, they heat chicken McNuggets up to such and such a temperature, so let's go up to this to make it seem like, it was unreasonably hot. I'm sorry, at that point, how the hell can you tell the difference? Would it have been better if it was just a first degree burn? And then suddenly it's like, oh yeah, it was hot enough. Ugh, seriously. Photos the mother took of the burn and sound clips of the child's screams were played in court. Oh, I see. So let's just pull on people's heartstrings as opposed to, letting them think rationally. The case may stoke memories of the McDonald's coffee lawsuit of the 1990s, which became an urban legend of sorts about seemingly frivolous lawsuits, even though a jury and judge had found it anything but. And I still think it's frivolous. I don't give a shit if the jury and judge found it not frivolous. It was fucking frivolous. I mean, if you're going to drink something hot or eat something hot in a frickin' moving vehicle where things can spill or hot things can drop on you, why are you surprised that hot things are hot? Because you got burned? Here's an idea. Comparing something to, I don't know, when you eat stuff or drink stuff at home is not the same because you're not in a frickin' moving vehicle. So, of course, you're not going to spill stuff on you and have the time to have first or second degree burns. My God, people are so stupid. They cannot bring themselves to, and these are probably the same dipshits who are like, well, you need to take personal responsibility for yourself. You're not. The case, I read that already. A New Mexico jury awarded Stella Liebeck, who was 81 at the time, $2.7 million in punitive damages after she was scalded in 1992 by hot coffee from McDonald's that spilled onto her lap, burning her legs, groin, and buttocks as she tried to steady the cup with her legs while prying the lid off to add cream outside a drive-thru. Yeah, how about maybe not doing that? I mean, it's very easy to spill things you're when you're trying to balance it on something that's so that's not very sturdy. I mean, I've tried to balance things between my legs before, especially if the car is moving. It's a difficult thing to maneuver. I do not see how this is McDonald's fault. How about, you not put hot things between your legs and try to maneuver it? How about wait till you get home, when you're going to be drinking the coffee, and then adding whatever it is you want to add to the coffee? It's not going, I don't think it'll taste any different. And actually, by then, it might not be so flippin' hot. Ugh. She suffered third-degree burns and spent more than a week in the hospital. Again, I fail to see how this is McDonald's fault. She had initially asked McDonald's for $20,000 to cover hospital expenses. Well, at least she was reasonable about it. But the company went to trial. A judge later reduced the $2.7 million award to $480,000, which he said was appropriate for the willful, wanton, reckless, and callous behavior by McDonald's. Seriously! Okay, now maybe McDonald's should have just settled for the hospital expenses because they obviously got screwed over by the trial. But what willful, wanton, reckless, and callous behavior? I mean, I get them, believing that they didn't do anything wrong. And I agree, they didn't do anything wrong. They've got to make hot things hot. I mean, if for no other reason, especially if you're in a freaking drive-thru, they expect that you're going to be driving at least 10, 15 minutes to get to where you're going to go before you eat the food or drink the coffee. You don't want it to be cold by then. So I still failed to see where McDonald's went wrong here. Anyway, that is the end of that article. So I feel for the kid who had to go through that. I mean, that really freaking sucks. But at the same time, what? I just do not see where they get this idea that she deserves damages because an accident happened. I'm not going to even blame her for the accident because she's trying to eat something while the car is moving, which, hell, I insist on whenever I'm in the car with someone, I insist on if I need to drink, and this is just water. If I need to drink, I drink when the car isn't moving because it is so hard to drink when the car is moving. So the only thing that happened is she's a 4-year-old trying to eat chicken nuggets while the car is moving. I mean, if as an adult it's hard to do, of course it's going to be harder for a 4-year-old. I fail to see how this is McDonald's fault. McDonald's, just because it's a drive-thru, they don't assume that you're going to be eating and drinking while the car is moving. They still assume that you are just using it for convenience, going to drive to a destination, and then eat. They do not assume you're going to eat or drink while the car is moving. If they were going to assume that, they wouldn't be putting it in a bag. They would just be handing it to you like if you were eating in the restaurant. So I just ugh, I do feel for the kid. That must have been horrible, but I still don't see how this is McDonald's fault. I really don't. I keep thinking and thinking and I just don't see it. I mean, it really really sucks, but I just don't see how it's their fault. I really don't. But I'm rambling now. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.